The idea for St. Francis House began in the mid-70s. It started with Doris and Stan Michalak, who were secular Franciscans, and they were looking for an outreach for their fraternity. They had very little money, but they began to searching for a place where they could actually have a little clothing bank. Stan told Doris that if she thought that someone was going to give her a place, an empty storefront for free, she needed to think that over again. And that was just all she needed to encourage her to begin looking. So she did find an empty storefront, and it turned out that the landlord was willing to let them use it for free.
The grocery store people had opened the store part. They lived above it. They opened it for the neighbors to have yard sales. And so Doris went and knocked on that door, I don't know how many times, until they finally answered.
They were in the storefront on Portland Avenue for a number of years when East Pierce County Community Action asked them to start a place in Puyallup. But I would see how crowded it was and how overwhelming things were becoming. I asked the Sisters of St. Francis if I could come and help them. And they said yes, so that's how I came. When they opened the place in Puyallup, they did it under All Saints Parish auspices, and the parish allowed them to talk from the pulpit, at different Sundays, explaining what they were doing and asking for help. And then they also took up a monthly collection for them. That's how they got volunteers, that's how they got funding.
Prior to that, they found this acre of land in downtown Puyallup, and Stan and Doris signed for the property, well past retirement, and had it paid off within 18 months.
When I heard Doris describe what St. Francis House was already doing, we talked about what we could do to enhance and improve what was being done already, and that's where we first decided to put together a board of directors and 501c3 as the pastor of All Saints had recommended.
First meeting, they were breaking ground for the current clothing bank that is on the corner of the property. The current house on the property was used as their clothing bank, and it was not big enough to meet the needs. A wonderful grant from a fellow that left the money, and that allowed us. When it was invested and multiplied during that time, and they were able to put in the warehouse.
There was a time when we had to ration our clients. They could only have one blanket, one towel, one pot, for the kitchen. Now we have plenty for everyone. We've really had a history of having what we need. One of the volunteers that St. Francis House owes a special gratitude is Hannah Callis. She coordinated the meal program for many years. Her efforts to organize the volunteers, to make sure there was food for every night, so we owe a special gratitude to her.
When Pat came on, she did a needs assessment of our customers, and she found that the immigrants really needed help in English. But these were people that had children, and they wanted to be home with their children. And they weren't necessarily all of them school-oriented type of people. She set up and got volunteers, teachers to teach English second language.
The volunteer part, I've seen a lot of changes in that, and how fun that is. Something that they always used was this interview process, and I just, as a perfect title for that, is just find out what their life is like, and then kind of read what they really need and help them out.
At that time, we were having a breakfast once a year, and the Miracle Makers were people that donated a certain amount and made that, said that we were going to do it for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and so that we could count on the income we needed to run the place.
I don't know how many communities have a St. Francis House, but certainly the progress from community to community, that outreach again for more people to catch the vision and keep it growing, because, you know, whether you have some money to give or clothes to give, household items, everything helps to keep it going and keep people served.
Sometimes you don't think people who are in need are giving people, but they're often the most giving of people because they know what it feels like to need. I'm grateful for the community around us that's been so generous, for the city of Puyallup that has supported us in good times and in not so good times, you know, and for those that have collaborated with us. It's like a giant team, really. The desire to help people in need, to use resources from those who have, and share and be like a conduit for sharing those with those who don't have, that has remained the same all the way through. The manner in which that is done has often had to adjust according to the needs of people in each particular period of time. Each decade has brought changes in what people need, but the basic principle of easing the hardships of those in need has remained the same all the way through.
People who support us, the sustainers, the miracle makers, the people who give every single month, I got to know their names in about 3 months, right? Because I kept seeing these same names, and I'm like, these people are devoted to us. Well, first of all, I think the core value is really their belief in God, and then their belief that God has brought them here for a purpose. I think we all have a sense that we were drawn here, and that our purpose is to serve people who are struggling. Part of that strategic plan was to broaden and deepen our services. So get us out further into the corners of East Pierce County and not be quite so Puyallup Valley centric, because that is our mission, to serve East Pierce County. We clearly have the donations. I mean, people, if you come on a donation day, you'll see that there's a line of cars out there. There's a joke in nonprofits, you know, that we all are just, our mission is to go out of business, right? We don't want people to be suffering, homeless or hungry. We're trying to help alleviate that suffering. We would like for it to end, but I doubt it will in my lifetime. So in the meantime, we just have to do what we can do. And if that requires us to grow, that's my mission, is to try to keep up with the demand as best we can.